What's up, everybody? Back again with another Professional Picks weekly NFL video covering each and every game in week 10. Let's jump into it. And as always, don't forget to like the video if you're enjoying the content, comment your picks and predictions for this week as well. And most importantly for us, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, show us some love, and make sure you keep getting these videos on your feed each and every week.
Love it. All right, let's jump right into it with our Thursday night game. We do have four buys this week, some two games less than the regular full slate, being the Browns, Packers, Raiders, and Seahawks. But we got a great AFC North matchup for this Thursday night game. One of the better matchups, in my opinion, that we've had on the season. But the Ravens, they're coming off of a blowout win over the Broncos. Um, really just performed well at home, got the job done. Same deal with the Bengals. They blew out the Raiders. Never really was a game, and the Bengals find themselves back into the playoff race now, sitting at 4-5. We've talked about them all season, but a lot of these games are must wins. Dropping
Mhm.
again to 4-6, they keep teetering below 500. So for sure they want to pull this one out as well as the Ravens do, sitting at 6-3 now, leading the AFC North or second in the AFC North behind the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I want to hear where you're leaning with this one. I know I'm leaning one way or the other with the Ravens sitting just under a touchdown favorite at home. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, not surprised too much by the spread in this game, given that when these two teams played earlier this year, the Ravens were about a 3-point favorite at home, or sorry, on the road. So that kind of the logic still stands. Nothing's changed too much between these two teams in the eyes of Las Vegas. But there's a drastic difference here in the defense of these two teams right now, and that makes me really want to lean towards the Ravens, although the Bengals are in such a must-win situation here. But last time these two teams played, it was a pretty dire situation for the Bengals as well. Also labeled must win, and they couldn't get the job done really because their defense has been holding up for them. And with the way Lamar Jackson's playing, with the way Derrick Henry's playing, Zay Flowers, and that Ravens offense, it's really hard for me to predict here. Bengals win. I think it's gonna be a close game, and I think the Bengals can cover this one. But I think it's gonna be a very similar outcome to the last time these two teams played. I think it was an overtime loss where the Ravens won 38-35. That's legitimately off the cuff. I'm not positive that's the real score. Um, but it being at home, I think the Ravens win again here in a close one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. It's hard not to go with the Ravens, especially how well built that team is. Whereas the Bengals, they do have some holes, but Burrow and that pass offense kind of covers them up, at least to some extent. But I'm with the Bengals plus 6.5 here. Joe
Mhm.
Burrow has been super impressive this year. If it weren't for the horrible defense and just how that team has overall performed, Burrow's name would be right there in MVP contention. He's
Mhm.
second in the league in QBR. He's thrown 20 TDs and four interceptions. I mean, he's not getting enough love for the job he's doing. Like, if it weren't for him, this would be another one of those teams sitting at the bottom of the league with just two wins. So I think I'm going to go with the Bengals plus 6.5 here. I mean, you see the total is at 52.5, so it'd be high scoring, similar to last game. But I do think Burrow and his offense could score enough against the Baltimore secondary, who's bottom third in the league. They're number one against the run, which the Bengals have somewhat abandoned. So yeah, I think I like the Bengals matchup here to at least put some points on the board. I don't think they're going to be able to get stops. So similar game to last time, but I like them to cover. That's it for that one. Any last thoughts, Woj? Or
No, I'm with you. I feel the same way. Yeah, I just checked it. It was 41-38, so I was off by 3 points on each side there. But it was a overtime game. I think this one's to be decided by 3 points, and I think again, the Ravens win this one just because of the defensive edge, which they don't. Their defense isn't playing terrific football this year, but the Bengals have really shown the inability to stop teams on when they have
the Bengals have
the ball. Yeah.
I like it, Woj. Next up, not as exciting of a matchup. Two teams sitting at 2-7. And I mean, before we jump into this one, I just feel like the league has become such a wide gap between the good teams and the bad teams. I don't
Hmm.
remember the league having so many teams who are just non-competitive this early in the season. I know we're about halfway through, but it seems like there was way more teams in the race in years past. I feel like there's really a clear divide between teams that are in it and those who have no shot. That would be both of these clubs, with the New York Giants coming in as 5.5 point favorites on the road. 'Cause, I mean, the Vikings, they're 5-2 and 1. They're 5-2 and 1 on the road. 5.5 point favorites 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 on the road They just lost the Commanders in a fairly competitive game, and the Panthers beat the Saints by one for Bryce Young to pick up a big win. I mean, neither of these teams look too bad in their last one, but I mean, definitely been rough seasons all around. I'll go first here, and Daniel Jones, he's just been a much better football player on the road. I think last week against the Commanders was his first time throwing a touchdown at home in like almost 2 years or something like
Like
that.
700 days.
Yeah. So yeah, I like the Giants here. I think Daniel Jones plays much better on the road. I like their defense more in this matchup. And Tyrone Tracy, while he's not phenomenal, he's definitely an upgrade at the running back position. And he's just going to keep getting better. I think I saw him tweet and say he's only played running back for 2 years. So the guy's already, yeah. So he's going to continue to get better. Just those normal growing pains, but should have a lot of tread on him. I like the Giants on the road here at -5.5.
Yeah, and I just want to say that this is a Germany game, so technically both teams are on the
Oh,
road here.
oh, good catch.
Um, but it still stands that Daniel Jones plays much better when he's not playing in MetLife Stadium here. And a point that I wanted to make too is despite both these teams being 2-7, it's a pretty drastic difference in terms of PFF ranking. Panthers still dead last among the league in PFF, although they're just the Titans and the Patriots are right there with them. And the Giants are respectable 23rd. It's interesting when you look at the teams that are next to you, like the Packers and the Bears and the Jets. So much more respectable teams than the Patriots, Panthers, and the Titans there. And so I look at this -5.5 spread, and it's hard to see the Giants beating many teams by more than a field goal at that with the way they played this year. But I'm reading into this line. There is a fundamental difference between this Giants team and the Panthers. And I think the big one is their defense too. Panthers defense has been abysmal all year long. And I want to say that's the real contributor to their um, poor overall grade is they also have the worst defensive grade in all of football. When you look at the Giants, um, let's take a look where they're at. They're actually in like the top half of the league in defense. And in these close matchups among similar-ish teams, certainly with similar records, I tend to lean to the defense, and I'm going to do that as well. And I do think Daniel Jones continues on some of the momentum that he built off last game. I think I like the Giants here to win, and I like them to cover the spread too. So I'm with you.
Yeah, no, good catch on the call out too, because I was a little confused with the Giants -5.5, but given that it's in Germany, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
I like it even more now.
that's how we do it.
All right, next up, we got the 2-7 Patriots heading to Chicago to play the now 4-4 Bears. Bears sitting at just under a touchdown favorite in this one. Patriots lost in OT to the Titans, while the Bears looked all out of sorts against the Cardinals in that loss last week. And the Bears' playoff hopes are dwindling fast. They were sitting at 4-2, and everything was looking pretty, but second half of the schedule is going to be a lot tougher for them here. And on the flip side, Drake May has injected some excitement into this Patriots team. While
Hmm.
he did throw two picks last game, maybe picks one of those back, they win the game, but he's at least giving this team something to watch, moving the ball down the field with not a lot around him. So I like how he's looked, and the Bears are kind of trending in the opposite direction. Is this a good buy low on the Bears, or do you think the Patriots and Drake May will have enough to pull this one out on the road?
It's really hard with the way this Bears offense has looked in the last couple of weeks. You're sort of seeing hints and shades of what this offense looked like in years past, where very one-dimensional. You're questioning play calling, schematic, build of the offense too, given the talent that we have all around. A lot of belief in the offense right now. The one thing you can't hold your hang your hat on here is this Bears defense is going to come to play. It's tough when offense is consistently giving the ball over and making their defense go back and run on the field time and time again. But it's still a top 10 off or top 10 defense here. Given the Bears' home record, I have to take the Bears to win this game. I just think they are, again, fundamentally the better team, Patriots being one of the worst teams in the league. But given the Drake May excitement and the anemic nature of this Bears offense, I could certainly see the Patriots +6.5 here covering. And that's kind of where I'm leaning, especially given this very low total. You're not going to see a lot of points this game in all likelihood because both these offenses have had a pretty poor output this year. But again, given the spark plug nature of Drake May, especially on the ground with what he's been able to do these last few games, it gives me a little belief that the Patriots could really give the Bears a run for their money here in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of that belief. I don't know if part of me should be worried that I'm just recency bias and getting down on the
Hmm.
Bears quickly, but yeah, they looked really bad this last week. So I think I'm on the Patriots plus 6.5. We'll see about the actual outcome of the game, though. Next up, we got Minnesota, or not. Oh, that's the my bad. I'm just reading the bubble here. But next up, we got the Bills sitting at 7-2. They're heading into Indianapolis to play the 4-5 Colts. Bills just beat the Dolphins by 3, as they have done the last couple seasons now. And then the Colts lost to the Vikings by 8 last night on Sunday Night Football. Still got Joe Flacco being the starter even in week 10 for this one for the Colts. And they're sitting as 4.5 point dogs at home. Where are you looking at for this one?
Yeah, maybe this is just me being foolish, and I've been really drinking some Josh Allen Kool-Aid lately, but this seems like too low of a spread for the Bills in my mind. I just think what they've been able to do in terms of offensive production here, regardless of what the rest of the team has been doing, especially defensively, I just don't know how the Colts match that. You've seen the Bills time and time again this season, through adversity, a lot of the time too, put up 30 points, if not more. And I just don't see the Colts doing that, even with their game plan likely of trying to slow the game down and control the line of scrimmage. I just the Josh Allen, James Cook combo in this offense is just so explosive that again, they're gonna put up points. Add into the fact that you're getting a healthy Amari Cooper back with, a few weeks now to learn this offense and get reps with the team. That again, I'm just at a kind of at a loss of this line where I really think the Bills and Josh Allen keep rolling here. Not that they really have to because the divisional race isn't that tight. So usually these kinds of games, I stop and say I'm getting trapped right now with this Bills spread here, and I might be because I don't see much with Joe Flacco and this Colts offense that's going to hang with the Bills, and I don't see the Colts offense putting up more than like 20 points.
All right, I'm you're selling me a little bit on the Bills here, but I
No,
am on the
I want to
Colts.
hear you sell me on the Colts here. Tell me why.
Yeah. Well, I think Joe Flacco last game, he had his worst performance as a starter, or really at
A
all
tough
with the
Vikings
Colts.
defense.
Right. And I think, I mean, this is a better matchup here against the Bills. They're going to be at home again. And I mean, Flacco's an upgrade over Anthony Richardson. And you're going to give them plus 4.5 points at home. They have a solid defense. They put pressure on the quarterback. But the number one thing for me still, and I mean, they have to take advantage of it, but the Buffalo's run defense is bottom third in the league, according to
Hmm.
PFF. If Jonathan Taylor could get going on the ground, I mean, it's really a strong two-way attack. I mean, if Flacco just needs to play how he was the last few weeks before the dud against the Vikings, and yeah, I think it's a favorable matchup for Jonathan Taylor. Plus 4.5 at home just seems like a little bit too much for me. And you mentioned it as well. The Bills don't really have much pressure from the rest of the division. I think they might drop one of these and get
Very fair. And I think a big thing for me is I haven't seen, especially as a fantasy owner, so I've been paying some close attention here. I haven't seen Jonathan Taylor look like the Jonathan Taylor in years past. And they really, before, they relied on him to be the all-around do-it-all guy, run for 100 yards,
yeah,
catch the
he's the
ball for
face of the offense.
150. And this is a matchup where he can do that. And if he's going to, then yeah, I could see that plus 4.5. I just haven't seen it yet from him this year. And it's a little concerning, despite how great their offensive line is.
I mean, yeah, I was looking at his stats, and don't get me wrong, he hasn't like blown up some games, but 3 of the last 5 still over 100 yards, and like
He's just not the best running back in the league anymore. He's still very good.
yeah, no, I agree with you there. Yeah, we'll see how this one plays out. But I'm on the Colts. I think they win this one. I think
I
this
think
is
you're convincing me. When I'm telling myself it's trap game, probably because it is for me. I like your
next
way of
up.
thinking.
We got the 6-2 Vikings heading to the 2-7 Jacksonville Jaguars. Pretty much the same spread that we had in this last one. And I don't know, if you ask me, I think there's a much better chance the Colts beat the Bills than the Jags beat the Vikings. I could be completely wrong. But the Vikings, they're just coming off that win against the Colts. And then the Jags, I mean, they were competitive with the Eagles, lost by 5 in that one. But I mean, they just keep falling on the wrong side of the result pretty much all season here. I would say one thing that is pretty alarming is as good as the Vikings defense started this season, and they did look good against the Colts, but their PFF defensive grade is dropping quickly.
Hmm.
Middle of the league now on PFF. Started the season, if not first, at least top five. So I think, I mean, and that's a big thing with Brian Flores and like that defense. Like when we talk about them, we always talk about Brian Flores. We're not really talking about the playmakers who are out there making plays. It's the schemes, and more often than not, like people are going to start to figure out the coach, figure out how he's calling the plays. So yeah, I think the Vikings defense might not be as dominant as they were in the first half of the year, but I mean, TJ Hawkinson's getting healthy, and this offense looks good in a tight NFC North race as well. So I like the Vikings -4.5. I could get convinced on the Jaguars, but I think that race is just too tight. You're gonna have to keep winning if you want to continue the top.
Yeah, what's been the real, and I agree with all the points you made about the defense for the Vikings. They definitely have been slipping, but it's not because of their run defense, which is still one of the best in the league. It's their coverage defense that's slipping, and that's what's going to hurt them in a game like this on the road where you expect them to win, and they should. And I agree with you, and I do think they will win covering. I think it's a very similar game to the Bills where the Jaguars have a lot of talent. They just haven't been playing up to it. What's been killing them and what probably will kill them this game is their really poor secondary. And like the Vikings are falling, whatever. They're still an average PFF graded coverage defense. Jags are the fourth worst in the league in terms of PFF coverage grade. When you're going up against the scariest wide receiver in Justin Jefferson and a very formidable supporting cast with guys like Jordan Addison, Hawkinson, like you talked about, Naylor getting in the action, Aaron Jones out of the backfield. I think it's gonna be a big day for Darnold, Jettas, and really the whole Vikings offense. I think given the two coverage defenses here, I would take the over. I like the Vikings to win it, and I probably will lean with the Viking spread, but the Jaguars are definitely due. Like they're playing, the Eagles are a tough team, and the Eagles have a really good passing attack right now. Jalen Hurts is dialed, and I'm pretty impressed with what he's been able to do. But to only lose that game by five makes me think they can do the same, if not better, against the Vikings here. So it's tough.
I like to call them the over a lot. I think given the two offenses, given how heavily they both pass, I know they're mixing it in the run, but yeah, I think the over is a good play there. 46.5. Right. Next up, we got another divisional matchup. This time we're going to the AFC West. We have the 5-4 Broncos, which of all teams, I would never guess the Broncos would be sitting at 5-4 this late in the season. They're heading to Kansas City to play the undefeated Chiefs. And or wait, yeah, I think that's right on the Broncos. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're playing the undefeated Chiefs in this one.
As of right now.
And as of right now, at least, yeah, I'm going to be playing the Buccaneers Monday night or starting right now. But yeah, I mean, this one's hard for me. I mean, the spread's big. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we just saw a similar one like this where the Ravens blew them out. Like Bo Nix has not been great against top competition. Like against the Ravens, Jets, and Steelers, they've scored 10 points or less. And then when they played the Chargers, another good defense, they only scored 16 points. I don't think this one's going to be any different. I don't see the Broncos scoring over 16 points against the Chiefs and this Spagnola defense. But I also don't trust the Chiefs offense to score a ton and cover a 9.5 point spread. That's where I'm leaning, but I kind of like the under in this one. Where are your thoughts at?
I think you said it's you're basically read my mind. Um, Broncos who really showed their true colors against the Ravens, and I think you can argue that the Chiefs. I actually don't even think it's much of an argument that the Chiefs have a better defense than the Ravens. As crazy as that is to say, before the season, they've just been playing better, and all the stats support that right now in terms of points per game and just about in yards per game and a lot of other metrics. But I'm with you. You're not seeing the Chiefs really have as prolific as an offensive attack as you're used to, even behind Patrick Mahomes. It's really been a strategic battle in war out there for the Chiefs, playing chess out there, not just outscoring opponents by 20 every game. So I'm with you on the under. For the spread, I think I would take the Chiefs. It's tough because you get the Chiefs off of a short week, albeit one day, but that definitely matters in the NFL. And that also makes me want to take the Broncos plus 9.5. Just favor the Broncos here because these are stats and models predicting off of past results, not necessarily in future short weeks for the Chiefs. So I'm going to give the edge to the Broncos because they have one extra day of rest and preparation. But I'm with you. I think you're going to see very few points this game, and I'm with you on the under.
Yeah, no, I mean it's going to be a low scoring game. Chiefs have been hard watch this year. They keep putting them on primetime games, but they've
Hmm.
not been very exciting games to watch.
I'm with you.
Next up, we got another divisional, and then this time going to the NFC South. We got the 6-3 Falcons. I've been all over them all year. Glad to see Kirk performing down there in Atlanta, but they're heading to the 2-7 Saints. Dennis Allen was just fired after the Saints lost their seventh one in a row now. And this Saints team, I mean, yes, they did play the Panthers to open the season, but they rattled the season off 2-0 with the greatest scoring margin in pretty much all the NFL, and then it's completely fallen apart since. I don't know if you saw Michael Thomas ranting on Twitter about Derek Carr going in on Derek Carr, how bad he is and how he
No,
got
I did not.
injured. And yeah, I mean, it's not a good sight down there in New Orleans. So, I mean, this is a well deserved plus 3.5, but this is just also at the same time begging me to take the Falcons. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, this seems like such a trap game given the way these teams are trending. How do you take a team that's lost seven in a row and only give them +3? Like it just seems like they're begging you to take the Falcons -3, especially with the way they looked, and especially given that Chris Olave, I have to assume with these string of concussions that he's been getting this season, that he will not be bouncing back this week and playing here on Sunday. I don't know, how to justify the Saints +3. It must be a ton of Alvin Kamara, probably throwing some Taysom Hill trick plays here. I take the under, and I'm really tempted. I bet this line moves to plus or the Falcons -3.5. In which case, I think I'm going to be on the Saints then because there doesn't always win, but being on these trap games, this always seems to be on. It pays out to be on the trap side, and I think I'm leading Saints because this makes no sense at all.
Yeah, I mean, I have the same thought process. Like, I'm not gonna touch this one, but yeah, if you made me, I'm probably leaning towards the Saints just because it doesn't make sense. Our great analysis for those trap games.
That sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't need to be a exact answer before every game. You never know exactly what's gonna happen. But moving along, we got two teams who sit at 4-4. Bucks playing tonight against the Chiefs. Guessing they're gonna lose, but you never know. So as it
They're
stands
winning
right
right now, just so you know. They're winning as of right now.
all right. As it stands, as we're recording this, they're both 4-4. The Niners are off of a bye going into this game, and I mean the Bucks are playing tonight. They've rolled into this game with 11 players on the injury list. I mean, we could just see that grow even more. It's another one where I'm like, I can't really convince myself to take the Bucks. Ever since those Godwin and Evans injuries, it's
Mhm.
just a tough team to back right now. Do you have any reason to sell me on the Bucks here?
Let me just confirm. The Niners are coming off a bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't justify the Bucks at all here. I did. You get an ultra physical team in the Niners that's coming off, obviously a week off in the bye, coming in this game super fresh. Whereas the Bucks, who are already battered, as you mentioned, coming off, a short week in a physical game against the Chiefs, it's really hard to. This is just a really tough matchup. Very similar to when the Vikings, came. They had the short week on Thursday night against the Rams, coming off a bye. It's just upset brewing. I got a feeling something. This isn't an upset, but I have a feeling it's going to be a brutal game for in a physical game at that for the Buccaneers here. Give me the Niners. Give me the points and the spread. Um, this seems like a really tough back-to-back games for the Bucks here. Feel bad for them.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Niners, and I don't know. I'm also waiting for the Niners to really turn the page. I mean,
Yep.
you're gonna run out of time eventually, but I mean, it's getting to that point where they got to start turning it on. Next up, arguably the best matchup of the week. We
I'm
got
very intrigued.
yeah, I mean, two teams, a little bit newer as far as at least what people expected heading into this season. But we have the 6-2 Pittsburgh Steelers going to Washington to play the now 7-2 Commanders. Like last game, the Steelers are coming off of a bye as well heading into this one. Those are our two teams on byes in week 9. But the Commanders beat the Giants in a somewhat close game, as the Commanders Giants games always seem to be. And on the flip side, the Steelers off the bye, but Russell Wilson has been really good in his two starts. So is Fields. So it's looking more like a Kenny Pickett problem more than anything over there in Pittsburgh. But yeah, I want to hear where your thoughts are at for this one.
Dude, Russ has made some great throws since he's joined the Steelers. He has made some phenomenal throws that just left my jaw dropped. Honestly didn't know he still had that in his bag, but he's impressed me. Obviously, we all can say that about Jaden Daniels this year. That's nothing new. But it's been lights out too. Obviously, the big differentiator here, I'll say it again, is the defense. Where you get the Steelers have the number two ranked defense in PFF grade as of right now. Commanders fourth worst. I have a little bit of a newfound belief in the Steelers offense, given the way that Justin Fields was able to succeed in it. And obviously now, given the way that Russell Wilson has looked in his games there, coming off the bye here, this defense makes all the difference in the world. And I believe that Jane Daniels will come back down to earth eventually. I think this might be the game. I'm going to take the Steelers to win this whole thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think the Steelers win the game. I mean, Tomlin off of a bye can't be underestimated. But yeah, to your exact point there, that Steelers defense is top of the league, and the Commanders are very bottom of the league in defense. I think it's only a matter of time before defense starts to catch up to them. I mean, yes, they've been able to outscore their opponents, kind of win some close ones here and there, but I do think Washington's due for a fall sooner than later, and yeah, they're coming up.
Steelers, to your point, and Mike Tomlin have won seven straight games after a bye. Uh, Tomlin 13-4 after a bye in his career with Pittsburgh. So it's really look like it favors obviously Tomlin coming off a bye in general. I think that's a favorable matchup with this Washington defense. I'm feeling extra confident that the Steelers take this one.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like that pick a lot. Moving along, we got the 2-6 Titans going to LA to play the now 5-3 Chargers. Titans beat the Pats in OT with Mason Rudolph as the starter. Levis is closer to a return, so kind of 50-50 on who's starting at quarterback for the Titans. In my opinion, I don't think it makes too big of a difference. Levis, as most younger quarterbacks, has the ability to do a little bit more, but Rudolph's going to take care of the ball. So in the end, they kind of even out in my mind. Chargers here are just a better team, and you can see it by the 8.5 point spread um, given there, but expect another super low scoring game with 37.5 there is the total. Yeah, I mean, I think the Chargers win this game. I think 8.5 might be too much to cover though.
Yeah, I'm with
Yeah.
you. It's tough here. Again, I mentioned the Titans having an abysmal PFF grade. Some of that's got to be attributed to Will Levis, but it's hard to see the Chargers putting up that many points to cover this. But I'm going to be a fool and I'm going to take it. I'm going to take the charge of the points there just because, like you said, it's not a huge difference between Levis and Rudolph there. And there's not really much to write home about this Titans team. There's not anything they're really doing above average, unless I'm missing something here. They're not nothing's flashing off the page. And for the Chargers offense, if they can just run the ball down their throats, which they've been one of the best run teams in football, in terms of really efficiency with J.K. Dobbins, that I think they've got a real shot to blow this game out. And especially given that they're the fourth highest team in the passing grade. You've seen Lad McConkey kind of emerge a little bit. Even Josh Palmer get into it. I'm going to be foolish and take the Chargers minus 8.5 here. It seems to go against most of the things that I would believe given the total of this. I feel like it only makes sense to take the minus 8.5 if you're willing to take the total over here, which I guess I
Yeah.
am.
No, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I think it's gonna be low scoring. I mean, like you said, the Chargers, they want a big ground and pound with Dobbins. I just think there's gonna be a lot of clock run out in this game. And I don't know, I still don't think the Titans defense is that bad. Like I think they'll be able to
I
hold
don't
up
really.
for long enough.
Yeah.
But all right, let's keep it moving. Next up, we got the 3-6 Jets heading to Arizona to play the now 5-4 Cardinals, who are sitting at the top of the NFC West. I know I mentioned they were one of my sleepers, but to be honest, I didn't really expect them to be leading the division this late in the year. But the Jets, they beat the Texans last Thursday, so they are going to have a little bit extra rest heading into this one. And the Cardinals, they blew out the Bears. Didn't really take too much. It was a complete domination in that one. But yeah, I think it might be the popular bet. I feel like while the Jets are 3-6, they're still getting a lot of publicity just with having Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know, I'm leaning towards the Jets. I think they go on a run. I know they're 3-6. I know the window's closing quick and they pushed it a little bit back open last week. But I feel like the Jets got to win this one on the road. I think the defense, while the Cardinals defense looked good last week, I think that was a little bit fluky and more so on the Bears for just not having a good offensive game plan. So I'm on the Jets in this one. Money line and spread.
Yeah, I'm with you here. The offense is getting a newfound life with Devontae Adams too. It's not just the Garrett Wilson show, which it definitely still can be, as we saw last Thursday. But another theme here, long week for the Jets. Definitely needed more than the Cardinals. Better defense, all the things I've been talking about in this week and in past weeks. Uh, I'm with you. Jets win this game.
Uh, Love it. Keep it moving. Next up, NFC East matchup. We got the now 6-2 Eagles, who just beat the Jaguars, and they're playing the Cowboys, who just dropped one to the Falcons. Cowboys dropped now 3-5 on the season. A couple injuries on each side. AJ Brown and Dak each left last game early with injuries,
Hmm.
and the Cowboys are expecting Dak to miss a couple weeks with a hamstring. And for such a thin team already, this is another one where I'm like, I mean, the spread indicates it, but it's like, is Cooper Rush going to be able to keep this one close with the Eagles at home? What do you think?
I really don't know how. The only saving grace for the Cowboys here is they're getting Micah Parsons back in that defense, which is really hard to quantify what he means to the defense, given his versatility and dominance at really any spot they line him up at. But even then, like Cooper Rush at quarterback and Rico Dowdle at running back, even CeeDee Lamb's banged up, he should be playing. Like it's just how do you how does this defense with the Cowboys manage this to really stifle this Eagles offense and hold them even to a 7 point game. Jalen Hurts has looked so great. Obviously, Saquon Barkley has too. The Eagles have such a relative dominance on the offensive line relative to the Cowboys here. It's hard. I'd probably take the under, given that AJ Brown's out. You're going to see a little bit. Or is he officially out? Um,
I'm not sure if he's out. He got injured last game, left early.
I'd
Could
say if AJ Brown's playing this game, yeah, there's nothing definitive on him yet. I don't know how the Eagles don't just roll the Cowboys here, but that's what divisional games on the road, that's where upsets happen, or at least surprising games happen.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I think the Eagles have to roll with this one. Like we're a Cowboys team who we've talked about it all season, but they have like no run game. They have nothing to fall back on with that getting injured. It's just
Eagles defense over the last few weeks has slowly become one of the more dominant units in football. That's the Vic Fangio effect. Right now, they're third overall in PFF defense too, which is extremely impressive given where they started this season. And that just does not bode well for Cooper Rush in this offense.
yeah, no, I'm with you. Eagles there, but all right, we got two left to wrap us up. Um, this being the last best game on our slate here, but with the 7-1 Lions, who maybe other than the Chiefs look like the best team in the NFL, they're going to Houston to play the now 6-3 Texans. Lions beat the Packers easily. Wasn't really ever a game in Lambeau, and the Texans lost to the Jets that last Thursday night, so they do have a little bit of extra rest heading in this one, but they are banged up. Nico Collins is eligible for return from IR. No real indication if he's going to come back or not. With them sitting at 6-3, I don't see why they would rush him back, but you never know if he's going to play in this one at home, and I imagine his availability can shift this spread. But we got the Texans as 3.5 point favorites. As it stands, do you Do you like the Texans at home here, or do you think the Lions keep rolling?
It's really hard to bet against the Lions at all this year, whatever the spread is. I think obviously to your point that you made, it's going to depend on the status of, Nico Collins, who is leading the league in receiving yards when he was healthy this year and before he got knocked out. But what concerns me here is that the Texans are 21st overall in run defense, and it seems like if you cannot stop this Detroit run game with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, you seemingly have no chance against them. So to put him only at a 3.5 point favorite here seems too easy to me, given how much the Lions have been rolling and given how great and really efficient they've been in the pass game. With Jared Goff really not even having to attempt many passes, and seemingly always completing the balls that he throws. It's just how does this not happen? And it's even to add insult to injury, the Lions second best rated coverage defense in football and the best graded defense in football. So like what can't they do here? Especially if Nico Collins isn't playing, like I have to take the Lions. It just seems like you ride the hot hand. They have no interest in slowing down with Dan Campbell, and they don't really have to because they're not like they're passing the ball and torching you. They're running it down your throat and playing physical football and just being the tougher team too.
Yeah, I mean that's where I'm leaning to, but yeah, I just feel like the Lions have been so hot. They've been so good. I feel like at least how we've talked on a lot of these other previous weeks is like you look for that down week. I mean, maybe it won't come, especially when your team is that well built and you have multiple ways to beat the opposition. But I don't know. I think maybe I can convince myself on the Texans plus 3.5. We haven't seen the best from CJ Stroud this year, and the wide receiver room doesn't help. But I don't know. I think they could steal one at home here against this Lions team. But yeah, I'm kind of just praying Nico Collins comes back. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
it's fun to watch him play.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm with you though. It's hard to go against the Lions, especially how they've looked the last month. I mean, the last month they've looked like the best team in football by a large amount.
Hmm.
All right, we'll wrap it up with our Monday night game. Not as great of a matchup, but we do have the 2-6 Miami Dolphins heading to the now 4-4 Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are well back in the playoff race, where the Dolphins, I mean, they do have Tua back. They've been more competitive, but they still haven't been able to pull these games out. Uh, yeah, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, I can see the Dolphins still kind of stealing one here, but it's another one where I'm buying a lot into momentum. I love the way the Rams have played, especially since they got their receivers back, who is about half of that offense, if not more. But yeah, I mean, I'm all over the Rams. I've been behind in the last few weeks, and I think I gotta keep riding with them here at home. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that was my initial thought. And we talked about this. I think even 2 weeks ago, we predicted the Rams to go on a run. We talked about them winning against the Seahawks last week on the road. They get a matchup here against the Dolphins team that struggled lately. 2-6, though, does not pass what I think this, and it's not indicative of this Dolphins team. I think they realized that it's kind of now or never. They played the Bills really tough and arguably could have won that game. I kind of think the Dolphins are due for a win here against a Rams defense that hasn't impressed me a ton. We'll see. Like, they do have Cooper Cup and Nakua back. It's a really tough game. Over seems really fun in this one. Uh, I'll see where this line goes. I'd like to take the Dolphins +3 here if the line moves to it, but this is I actually think it's going to be a really fun game.
I like it. Do you think the Dolphins, say they miss the playoffs, do you still ride with Tua, or do you think it's time to make a change at
I think
quarterback?
they're paying him a ton of money, so I think they almost have to.
Yeah, they are. That's a
They
good
ain't got any
point.
choice at this point. I mean,
Yeah,
it's his fault. I mean, he wants to keep going out there and playing. He should just retire. But it's not the Dolphins' job to say, no, we don't want you anymore because someone wants him.
yeah. I mean, somebody will, but
But
yeah,
whatever. This will be a fun one. It's gonna be a high scoring affair. Until next week, everybody. I know we got a second left here, Slee.
yeah. Love the Woods. Good luck to
But
everybody.
let's see if locks of the week keep hitting and the Dolphins get after it. And we'll see what happens. Monday night.